Welcome back to the How I Became Your Mother podcast. I am your host, Kalila Black, and this is a space where I chronicleize my life, my stories, while manifesting and speaking to my future child as if they are already here. So, this is one part manifestation, one part biopic, one part pure vulnerability. Let's get into it. Today, we are discussing giving yourself credit. Um, well, first of all, let's go to the Your Father update in real time. What's going on with me as it relates to men? Yo, last week I had like three breakups. I would say three breakups. And I'm exaggerating because I was not committed to either of them. One of them I have never even met in person, but I have been speaking to a few gentlemen. One of the guys, the guy who we spoke about earlier, um, who approached me in the airport declaring his love for me, I realized, I don't think he agreed, but I realized that we were not compatible. He just in his way, he just moves in a way where um dating is something that he kind of squeezes in. He's like, I want to just, if I want to go somewhere, I want to call you and say I want to go. I'm like, yo, if you live in another city, in order for me to make sure that I can see you, I'd like to know if when you're in the city ahead of time so that I could plan for that. He hits me while I'm in the city to say, "Oh, hey, what's up?" So we're at different points. I needed something different. He didn't understand that. He didn't understand that, but it that's how that one was. And there was another guy. He is a poet. Um, very sweet. I feel like um I had to separate ties from him because he is long distance. He's not in this country. And I know that in order for me to date in a way that feels good, I don't, I want to be in person. I want to be able to talk to, touch, see. I do not want to, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be able to touch, talk to, and see. And so after asking, when was the possibility? When was the next possibility? Because at first I was like, I had already assumed like he's away. He's an artist, so it's not likely that we'll be able to see each other anytime soon. But I was like, let me make sure to ask so that I don't assume. So I asked him, and he said realistically January would be the first time that we could be in person, and that wasn't enough time for me. That wasn't enough. That wasn't soon enough for me. So I severed ties with him. And that was hard because I could tell that we were highly compatible um creatively and like artistically. I could tell that we had some similar vibes, but I know in the whole picture, the whole span of things, first of all, I'm wanting to date someone that is clear about family being the next thing in their lives. I want to date somebody that knows, like, okay, this is what I'm doing in the next phase. I'm marrying. I want to move here. I want to move there. And so those men were not on that type of timing. So we had to move forward. Oh, and then there was a guy from Hinge who we had we didn't even meet, but we had a misunderstanding. Either way, we're sifting and sorting. I'm being hopeful. I am coming in contact with guys more who are closer to what I envision your father to be, but we're not at that place yet. Even though we are in a space where I am receiving a lot of affirmations, validations, and love from men, which is really making me look forward to being with you and your father. Period. Okay, so back to the episode. So this episode is about giving yourself credit, and the thing that made me want to record this episode. This episode is a long time coming because, first of all, a lot of this stuff I'm able to see lessons through my friends and family, because when you can look at somebody else's stuff, sometimes it's easier to see where the faults are. And I know that usually when my friends are doing something, I'm doing it as well. And I've noticed that a lot of my friends and family and this generation is not really versed in giving themselves credit. Like, we're not versed in that. That's not something that is practiced. In fact, the opposite is such. The opposite is that you're supposed to be humble. If you, it's not you that's doing it, it's God that's doing it. It's not polite, it's not tactful to brag, it's not wholesome to brag. So when it's time to tally up what you've done, if you're conditioned to thinking about bragging as a bad thing, you're not going to add up your tallies. And I was looking at how that was affecting some of my friends. Like, I have a friend who who was never ever designed for anyone else outside, like, personally, like, who's ever never styled and crafted and created something from scratch fully on somebody else's time and everything, and was able to do that at such a high level that it was at the Met Gala. And it took my friend so much, um so much out of them to acknowledge that that was something big, because they didn't like the way it came out. They didn't like it, didn't come out to the vision that they saw it. And my biggest thing was, like, you, this is a dream. First of all, the fact that you're able to do this and this is not your consistent practice, it came out beautifully. Like, just, this is a milestone that deserves, you've worked hard for it, you've aligned hard for it, you've studied hard for it, you are equipped, fully equipped to handle this, to go through this, to move forward. And I started just thinking about my life, and one of the biggest things that has helped me to continue to move forward and to achieve is being proud of my accomplishments. And sometimes you're in a season where you can't really be proud of the accomplishments that's going on right now in your life because you don't see them as accomplishments. That's, at least that's been my experience. I wasn't able to be proud. So what I was doing is like, okay, every morning when I do my gratitude, one of the biggest purposes of gratitude is to make sure that I am feeling good, that I'm on the upper part of the emotional scale. And another part of that is, if I'm feeling good about myself, it's easier for me to feel good about anything else. So one of the things, like, my gratitude, my personality, my own personal experiences is something that I'm always wanting to feel good about. So I was like, okay, I got to look at my life and be like, how can I, like, what am I missing? And I'm like, okay, going back in hindsight, Kalila, I have been an overachiever. I've been a doer. I've been a winner since before I entered this physical plane. I was supposed to be born later, healthier. I was born earlier. Uh, I was ready, and I came in here. I came to Earth in distress, which that when I think about that and I think about being a premature child, having almost killed my mom and myself in me coming here, and yet what I'm continuing to accomplish and a purpose that I have, I'm realizing that the uh, adversity is not the opposite of progress, production, and or purpose. It comes intertwined in there. I don't know why I wanted to leave and get here sooner than 2 months. I don't know why I wanted to come here May 7th instead of June 28th. But I'm going to say that it was to practice making it through. I wanted to say that it was to start me off to realizing that contrast, adversity is a part of the experience and that it doesn't take away from how great it can get, how progressed I can be, how healthy I can get. So that's number 1. In fact, today I had a whole conversation with mommy because with your grandmother because today we are looking for homes to place her in. I'm looking for a home to place her in, and I'm I research it. And so I had contacted this place that has the most reviews in the area, and I set up a tour with the place, and they came and I got mommy here. I made sure that we had an aid so that we could pack her up, get into the place. We get over there and they say, "Oh, we don't have any beds available." First of all, if somebody asks for a tour, isn't it shouldn't it be assumed that they're touring because they would like to live there, because they would like to experience the place there? So wouldn't that question be answered when a person says, "Oh, I'd like to tour your property"? But I guess not. I guess not. So we came over there, packed up the car, got her in there, got her, interrupted the day. She got over there. I was calling different nursing homes to see if we could make up some last minute appointments since this one didn't work. It didn't work. So packed her back up and got into the car. And as I was getting into the car, I'm just like, "Mommy," and I apologized to her home health aide too. Like, "I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I tried. I thought it was gonna be, I'm sorry that we came over here for nothing." And mommy was like, "You're doing so much. Like, you're doing so much. You're taking care of me. You're calling. You're driving. You're coordinating. You're ordering. You just had a meeting with my tax accountant. You made me breakfast. You made yourself breakfast. You worked out. You." And she's like, "You did a lot." And I'm like, "I hear the words that you're saying. I hear it, and I know that if I were you, I would be saying, and you were me, I would be saying the same thing. But in this moment, it does not feel like I'm doing a lot. It feels like I'm failing. It feels like I could be doing more. I should be doing more." And so, but I was actually very grateful for the call out of the like, don't apologize, that part of it, because I, I it does need to be checked. And I would say the same thing. Like, why are you apologizing? Like, that's not your control. That the fact that the people didn't let you know that, like, that's out of your control. Like, you didn't know. And then also realizing what I learned today was great. Like, we had to go to this nursing home for us to figure out the next steps. Like, it wasn't in vain, but that let me know that there's I have some perspective distortions as it pertains to my efforts and what I'm doing and how it's contributing, because I am consistently juggling multiple balls. And I think that because I've been doing a lot for a long time, it doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot, but that's not true. And if I consider myself a healthy person, which I do, and I want to be a healthy person has a perspective that is healthy, a perspective that makes them feel good about themselves, that pushes them forward, that makes life, the whole journey, enjoyable. And just think about it. If the goalpost is consistently being moved and you never get to celebrate the win, you're never getting to that level of joy and happiness, which is the whole point of this. Every single thing that we're doing it so that we can experience joy. Like that's the whole point. But when we continue to pretend like we're doing it for the result, then when the result comes and we don't acknowledge the happiness, we either feel like nothing's happening, it's not worth it, like the things that bring you joy are no longer bringing you joy, and then you start leaning into thought processes that are actually not healthy, which is something that I don't want to do. The other side of this is that life is a choice. Okay? So everything that we're doing, we're choosing to do them. Like for the most part, we're choosing to do it. If we wanted to, we wouldn't be doing it. There's some people who are choosing to live very, very simple lives, who don't want to necessarily have flashy experiences, who value simplistic things, right? So their mission in their lives may be, I want to have raise really, really wonderful contributions to society. I want to raise children and human beings who are loving and brave, and that's how I'm going to make my legacy. I'm not going to create a business. I don't really care too much about travel. Like that's how I'm going to do that. Even if that is that person's goal, in order for that person to feel as if there's progress, it would be smart for them to identify and keep track of how they're succeeding. Is your child now knowing how, to be polite? Are they using their manners? Are they like, inspiring people? Do you hear your children always being complimented by teachers? And are your, like that is you winning. That's you being the best at that thing. And a lot of the times I find myself comparing myself to other people and saying like, well, if they could do this, like, oh, how come I'm not able to do that? How come I'm not able to do this? And today I just had to think about myself and my life in the bigger scheme of things. I have really succeeded a lot because of not only my connection to God, but my obedience, my focus, my dedication, my spirit, my positivity. Like these are the reasons. These are and it's not by chance. It's something that I said, this is what I want to do. I believe that I could do it. And then I worked for it. Faith without works is dead. I worked to align. I took inspired action. And then I did it. That causes for celebration over and over and over and over and over again. Like that is the reason why we move forward. So I had to do that today to talk to myself. Even when I was talking to mommy and she said, you have to give yourself credit. I'm like, okay, Kalila, you did do a lot today. Just because you've been doing a lot for your whole life doesn't mean that it's not a lot. There are people who are not getting up early, who are not meditating, who are not journaling, who are not contacting friends, who are not also trying to date, who are not also making tax appointments with their mom and planning feeding her and clothing her and working on her social life and her mental life and your social life and your mental life and hosting friends and being there for friends, FaceTiming. Like you are doing a lot. And This is cause for celebration. This is cause for credit. This is to say, Kalila, you want to be a good person and you actually are doing it. Like you're nailing the being a good person. So you get to be happy for nailing being a good person. There was also this article, and I'm gonna actually read it because this also validated how I felt about giving myself credit, and I'm gonna read it. And it was this uh therapist. The question was this. So yeah, the therapist, a person said, "What was your biggest? I know I'm not supposed to judge you, but holy crap moment." And this is one. As a real therapist, I got one. Some of my clients are shockingly bad at giving themselves credit. Like they might get a nearly straight A GPA and a brutal major while battling depression or overcome years of a phobia and get behind the wheel again, or write a literal novel, or raise a kid as a single parent with low income, or build new relationships after being burned, or cope with OCD well enough to hold down a job. And then they'll talk about themselves as if everyone on the earth is better than them, as if their accomplishments are worthless. And I know it's because of depression or anxiety or another condition, but I'm often stunned by how differently I see them compared to how they see themselves. And if you are listening to this, you need to give yourself credit. And this, I don't even know why I laughed before this because what I'm about to say is not funny, but I walk through people daily because I do live in downtown LA and we are in the middle of an opioid epidemic. And I walk through people daily who do not, uh, who are in the middle of a very, uh, kind of low vibrational, low effort, depending on how you look at it, kind of situation. They pretty much their day consists of going to either get their drug of choice and then going home, maybe using the drug of choice, going home, going around the street. Like that is their day. That's the effort of their day. Okay? And then we have people who are choosing to get up, go to work, clean their bodies, take care of their bodies, take care of their kids, take care of their parents, find new interests, learn, connect with other people, find recreation, lead people, give back, research, build, break generational curses, shift things, build closer relationships with God. It's like, yo, we are like winning. We are winning. We are winning. So we need to say that we're winning. We need to make sure that we understand that. And what I'm taking away from this um topic is that I'm always doing more than I think I'm doing. Like that's just the belief that I want to have. Whenever I'm feeling like, oh, what do I need to be doing? I'm gonna say you're doing enough. You're doing the most. There are people who are not even thinking about what they're not doing. That's the other thing. I'm just gonna have a little aside. Do y'all know that there is a percentage of people on this earth who don't have an internal monologue? Now, I don't know how that pertains to creativity and inspiration because they obviously have to be inspired in other ways, but there are people who don't even have those thoughts in their heads running around. They are operating by observing and responding to their environment. And they are living and thriving. And I'm getting mad because I haven't necessarily succeeded in goal or dream number 5,620,000,000 and two. You know what I mean? It's like, girl, it's not giving healthy. It's not giving mental health. It's giving like body dysmorphia kind of. You know what I mean? It's like brain dysmorphia of not giving myself credit. So, okay, one of the things that I wanted to be clear around credit is that I I'm a person that likes action. I like progress. I'm brave. I'm adventurous. I like movement. And sometimes, because those are things that I like so much, I forget that there's other equally, if not more. No, I'm not going to say more. I'm going to say equally as important things to maintain and remember, like inspiration and energetic consistency and things like that. So it's like you can have all the action in the world, but if you're not aligned energetically, then that action is not going to produce the results that is actually intended to produce, because it's not sanctioned in a way that's going to support the actual outcome. So the focus, yes, some of the focus is what do I need to be doing? What do I need to be doing? But the biggest thing is how do I need to be feeling, and remembering that the credit, I get to get credit for everything. I get to get credit for waking my eyes up and rolling out of the bed. I get to get credit for washing myself. I get to get credit for going to the doctor. I get credit for, I need credit for all of that. I want credit for all of that because there are people and things who are not in this all the choice. And we also don't have to do anything, but we don't have to do anything. We don't even have to stay alive. There's people that are, we deserve credit for staying alive, for choosing to continue to be here, because there's people who take their lives away. Like we could even wake up in the morning and be like, thank God, like, yo, Kalila, you ate that because you didn't kill yourself today. Like you are still pushing, you're lit. You know, like that is valid energetically. What I'm actually releasing is this idea that you can't celebrate until some end result. And the other thing about that is when you wait to celebrate, celebrating doesn't even feel good, bro, because it feels like, okay, what's next? Like, not too much, not too much. Don't look at me too much. And it's like, we get to celebrate everything. You get to celebrate everything. The life is actually really truly about the journey. And if we are saying that, then that means that we got to celebrate the whole journey, not just waiting for vacations, not just waiting for uh milestones that were first put on by other people. We create our own milestones. You know what I mean? What I am grateful for is people in my life to hold me accountable. I've had multiple people say things this year that have jarred me around myself not giving credit, especially as a caregiver. Like people are like, Kalila, you, I don't even know how you're doing this. I don't even know how you are able to keep up with your mom, keep up with your career, maintain relationships, audition, take care of yourself, date, have a friend life, travel, stay in shape, eat well, work out, take care of your body, flirt. Like, how do you talk about your future, record, create a podcast, launch a podcast, coach, teach, like you're doing a lot. And I had to, and I had to sit and be like, wow, not only wow, but also why is it that they can see that? So I started basking in my own accomplishments, and I'm grateful for mirrors and people around me that can remind me, and so that I can, that can be reflected, so that I can shift that, because I want to show you that I can be proud of myself too. I want you to see mommy's proud of herself. The same way you might see mommy's disappointed in herself, because these are emotions, but I want you to see mommy's proud of herself. I want you to see the progress and what it means to give yourself credit. What I want you to know is that you are worthy. You will get to be celebrated just by being. God put you here as well as you God put you here because you agreed to come here. You chose to come here. It was you and God together. Like, oh, I slit. I get access. We outside. So because this was sanctioned, because you came through me and mommy, because this was something that was divine, you came down here. You are already deserving of 100% of the credit. You win already. You get the gold star. You came here. You're here. Everything else is a bonus. Everything else is an experience. I'm working right now on new belief systems because I love to work and I love money, but I don't want my work and my effort to be tied to my income. I want to work because I like to work. I like to coach people. I like to act. I like to sing. I like to perform. I like to teach. These are things that bring me joy. I also like money, and I also know that money doesn't have to come from work. I don't believe that money is an energy. So what I'm working on is things that are saying like I make a lot of money and attract a lot of money when I work, and I make a lot of money and attract a lot of money when I don't work. I make money for existing. I work because I like to work. I work because it contributes to the world. I don't work because I need money. Money comes to me whether or not I work. So I want you to remember that you get credit because you exist. Everything else that you're doing, you holding up your end of the bargain on being a good human being, that is additional. And we do get to give each other additional stars along the way, but know that you are already at maximum worthiness. You were born perfect, perfect in that way. Okay, now we're going to move on to the fall in love section. This is a section of the podcast where we play the New York Times bestselling game 36 questions to fall in love so that you can learn me and fall in love with me again. I already know you love me so much because I love you so much, but let's play this game. Let's play this game. So this question number 15 is, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life? And that is interesting because probably before this episode or before, like maybe before a year ago, I probably would have listed accolades as my greatest accomplishments, like my Broadway debut before 30 and record breaking negotiations with a global company and um, maintaining friendships in for over 2 decades and like those types of things, which are huge accomplishments. But I feel like the biggest thing that I'm most proud of that I think has yielded the best results of my life is probably me seeking and finding my spiritual language. And I really feel like I found that language within the last 3 or 4 years. The awakening happened in 2020, but I got to my groove and understanding recently. And I having the perspective of knowing, kind of like last week's episode, where she's like, who is the leader? Knowing what my rhetoric is, my spiritual rhetoric is, and knowing that the point of the rhetoric is for success so that I know how to curb when things don't go my way mentally, that is a game changer because now that I know that my perspective is there to support me, I know how to I know how to weed out the stuff that's not working. So, for example, your grandmother and I watch a sermon from her church, her home church, a AME church every Sunday. And I consider myself multilingual as it pertains to religions. And so I love listening to scripture and preachers and comparing and getting what I can and spitting out what I don't, you know, resonate with. And this pastor has been doing a series on obedience, which I have been resonating with OD. And I think that, well, first of all, I've been resonating with, he's been doing a series on obedience. This last series was around how to know when you're listening to the voice of God or you're listening to, or it's something else, because it's like, yes, God wants you to be obedient, but how do you know who and when is, the right thing? And he's using scripture, and scripture, essentially what he said was, uh it does all, you don't have to get all of these things needs to happen, but one or two: confirmation from the Bible, confirmation from a spiritual leader, or he said godly counsel is what he said, godly counsel. And he was like, because God will tell you things and affirm things, especially things that you haven't even spoken to with anyone else, through other people. And he made a comment like from the pulpit, like, God ain't, you can't be listening to someone who ain't gone to church. You can't be listening to someone who ain't picked up their Bible in 5 years. You can't be listening to someone. And at that moment, I realized that that separated from my own spiritual language, because my spiritual language is that God can talk to me through anyone, that I have enough discernment, that I have enough um, connection, I have enough intuition to discern, and that He's going to send His lessons and His messages to me from everywhere. So that's when I knew, okay, this is a man speaking from, or maybe speaking to his congregation. There may be other people who don't have that level of discernment, that they need to start with, okay, I'm gonna listen to people that's in church, and then I'm gonna listen to people that's out of church. So I say all that to say, I really feel so accomplished because I have a language. I know what feels good to me. I know what my intuition is. I know what's godly. I know what's not. And that feels like the biggest accomplishment, because now I can stand on the word wherever I am and vet whether what I'm saying and experiencing is godly or not. This episode feels a little scatterbrained. I hope that you were here with me vibing. I hope it was chill. Um, I'm gonna give you homework for this episode. For this episode, I want you, my darling, my baby, and you listeners. You might as well, you listening, you might as well, even if you do it on your notes app, if you do, if you write it down, there's something that happens cognitively in your brain that happens differently than when you type notes, because because you have to use both parts of your brain to write, where you only have to use one part of your brain to type. So when you write, it lands harder. So I would suggest you write it, but it's no beef. Write down 10 things you want to give yourself credit for doing this year, right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. And if it's at the beginning of the year, if it happens to be like January 1st, do it for last year. Either way, write down 10 things, because we need to start recognizing and hearing how we're abundant and how we deserve credit. Thank y'all so much for listening. We did another episode. I made it. We all shot, and I couldn't be happier. So please, I'm loving receiving the text messages and the reviews and the comments. Just let me know that you're listening. I'm gonna keep on posting whether or not y'all let me know, but it do help. It does help giving me credit so that I could give y'all credit, so that we could do credit and we don't gotta go bankrupt. Period. And to you, my love, I want you to know that I've been thinking of you, praying of you, waiting for you, manifesting you, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I get to be your mama. I'm so happy that I get to be your God. I'm so happy that I get to be your vessel. It's lit. We lit. And I'll see you next week, baby. Later.